Hi, I welcome all to Rathod's Eyes Academy. I am Ushasri, I am your current affairs faculty. And here in this lecture, we are going to discuss current affairs of 11th February 2022. In this lecture, we are going to discuss 6 topics which are very much relevant from our UPSC point of view. So let's get started with our discussion and let us try to see first of all a small introduction regarding those topics so that you will be getting some idea regarding what our video contains, that is our discussion which is going on. So first topic, it is about Haryana new law. Actually Haryana came up with this employment reservation act, okay, which came up in February 2021 and it came into force from January 2022. Okay, it is mainly talking about 75% of reservation, okay, especially for the local people. Okay, it is about local job laws that raise constitutional questions. So here in this article we are going to see what are the 3 important questions which mainly raised because of this law. So this is important from your polity point of view, which mainly comes in the GS paper too. And now next topic, it is about MSP. So actually in our yesterday's budget lecture also we discussed about this MSP and we discussed about some issues regarding this MSP in our budget, right? So again, so this article is talking about this MSP again. So an MSP scheme to transform Indian agriculture. So we are going to talk about what are the issues regarding this MSP and we need to also talk about what is the way forward. So this article is important from your economy, which mainly comes in the GS paper 3. And next topic, it is about frozen by uncertainty. So actually today's newspaper, it is about our RBI policy. So our monetary policy of RBI, which is mainly said that it is again going for this accommodative stand, that is expansionary policy. So if we are talking about monetary policy, we will be having 2 important keywords that you need to remember regarding that monetary policy. That is, first one is accommodative policy or expansionary policy. Second one is, we can say like constrictive policy. So in this accommodative or expansionary policy, so here RBI which is mainly want to increase money supply in the market, right? So here there is a lowering of rates, interest rates, for example repo rate, reverse repo rate, like that. But in constrictive policy, so RBI want to mainly tighten the money, that means it want to squeeze the money that is present in the market. Okay, so in this constrictive policy there is decreasing of money supply in the market that is seen. So whenever RBI want to decrease this money supply in the market, so it is going to increase this interest rates, right? So here we are going to talk about this accommodative monetary policy and even we need to know about what are the some important challenges which are mainly facing by our Indian economy at present. And next topic, it is about court asked Malia to appear on 24th February, okay, in contempt case. So here you need to know about contempt of court. So this is an important concept even that is present in your Lakshmikant and you can get some prelims based questions from this contempt of court. So this article, it is important from your polity, which mainly comes under GS paper 2. And next topic, it is about Indo-Pacific region will shape the century. So this is the statement which is given by Blinken. So actually this Blinken, he is at present in Australia and he mainly talked about importance of this Indo-Pacific region. So as UPSC aspirant, you need to know about where this Indo-Pacific region is located and you need to know why there is increase in the relevance of this Indo-Pacific region and why here power which is mainly shifting from west towards east which is happening. So it is a present burning issue. So this is important from your international relations, which mainly comes under GS paper 2. And next topic, it is about RBI extends liquidity window for healthcare. So earlier in 2021, RBI came up with this liquidity window for mutual funds and now it mainly extended this liquidity window for this healthcare sector. So here this article is again important from your economy point of view, which mainly comes under GS paper 3. So these are the topics. Now we are going to have our discussion. So let's get started with our discussion and let us try to see today's quote. So today's quote, it is given by APJ Abdul Kalam. Okay, so this quote, it is one of my favorite quote, that is dream, dream, dream. Dreams transform into thoughts and thoughts results in action. Okay, so always if you see any motivational thing, first they will say that to dream big. So whenever you are dreaming big, then only this dream will drives you to achieve the path. Okay, so this dream will be very much helpful, mainly to transform your thoughts. Okay, so if you are having a big dream, then your thoughts and your action that are mainly changed. Okay, these will become a path to achieve your goal. Okay, so first, to achieve anything, first you have to dream big. So to achieve, for example, this code is very much relevant from our UPSC preparation. So first of all, you have to dream to become an IAS officer or IPS officer. So to achieve that dream, then you will come up with some transformation in your thoughts. For example, you will be start searching a best YouTube channel to get current affairs like Rathod's IAS, and also you will be searching some other alternatives for the books. Okay, and you will be also searching some good websites where you can get the stuff which is enough for UPSC. And after getting all those thoughts, then you will be sitting. Okay, you will be sitting for at least 8 to 10 hours per day, and you will be studying, and you will be focused, and you will be having, or you will be habituating to have a discipline such that finally your dream will be achieved. You are going to clear this UPSC. So in this way, first I will be saying that you have to dream big. So after dreaming, so you have to have some thoughts like how to achieve your dream, and you have to follow those thoughts. Those thoughts should be in action. Okay, so this is about the today's quote, and this quote can be used whenever you're writing essay and even in your mains answers, especially in the conclusion. So now let us try to see first topic. It is regarding local job laws that raise constitutional questions. Okay, it is about local job laws. So now let us try to see this article. So this article is mainly talking about Haryana law regarding reservation of jobs, like 75% of jobs for locals. So actually this article, it is very important from your polity point of view. So this article, which is mainly talked about 3 important constitutional questions which are mainly highlighted by author. So now let us try to see this article in a very great detail. So if you're talking about context, so what is this context try to say is, so Supreme Court of India will soon hear a petition to remove the stay on Haryana State Employment on Local Candidates Act, or in short Haryana Act. Okay, and this act, which mainly reserves 75% of jobs in the private sector in state for local residents. So actually this law came up by Haryana in February 2021, and now it came into force in January 2022. So this is a one basic fact. So since February onwards, we are discussing some provisions of this act, and it is not a new topic, right? So now why it is in news? Because Supreme Court of India, okay, so already you know that this Supreme Court, it is apex court. So at local level or at district level, we have district or subordinate courts, and in the state we have the high court. And if you're talking about our apex court, it is our Supreme Court. So now here this Supreme Court, which is going to have some petitions. Okay, it is going to hear some petitions to remove a stay on this Haryana Act, and this act which mainly reserves 75% of jobs in private sector in the state. So this act which mainly applies to jobs which mainly pay up to salary of rupees 30,000 per month. And here employers, they have to register all such employees on a designated portal. Okay, so here in this act, it mainly says that it's mainly applicable for the jobs which mainly pay up to 30,000 per month, and employers, they have to register all such employees on a designated portal. Okay, and if you're talking about further more details, it mainly says that government may also exempt certain industries by notifications. So it mainly says that 75% of reservation for this private jobs for the locals, but here state has the ability, okay, or capability mainly to exempt so and so, okay, so and so new startup or new information technology enabled services, and as well as some short-term employment generating companies and farm labor and even domestic workers, and as well as some promotions and transfer within the state that has the capability within the state. Okay, state can exempt even certain industries under this 75% of reservation for locals. And what happened recently last week, Punjab and as well as Haryana High Court, which mainly admitted the petition, and in this petition, which is mainly challenging constitutionality of this act, that is how far it is constitutional. Okay, so because of this petition, which is mainly filed in this Punjab and Haryana High Court, so there is a stay that is mainly regarding implementation of this act. So now there's a petition which is mainly went to Supreme Court. Okay, so regarding this stay. So now let us try to address what are the core of this issue, what is the important thing. So because not only this Haryana but also even other states, for example per se like Andhra Pradesh, Jharkhand, they also passed similar type of bills, and these are mainly focusing on reservation for the locals. So not only Haryana but also other states, for example Andhra Pradesh and Jharkhand, they also passed this similar type of bills. And if you're talking about is Andhra Pradesh legislation, which has been challenged in Andhra Pradesh High Court, and these acts mainly raise several constitutional questions. So whenever these states are going for passing of these bills, and these bills mainly talking about reservations in the private job for the locals, then what happened, that will be also leading to some constitutional questions. Already we know that there are fundamental rights in our constitution. They are mainly present in this part 3 of our Indian constitution. Okay, so some of the fundamental rights which mainly says that there should be no discrimination based on place of residence or place of birth. But here these bills which are mainly passed by these states, and they are talking about reservations for the local people, that means who born in that state, means it is mainly violating some important articles of our fundamental rights. So now let us try to see which are those 3 questions which are mainly highlighted in this article. So first important question, it is regarding Article 19(1) subclass G of Indian Constitution. So if we are talking about Article 19, which is mainly talks about right to freedom, right? So in this Article 19(1) subclass G of Indian Constitution, which mainly guarantees freedom. Okay, freedom to carry out what? Occupation, trade, and as well as business. So this Article 19(1) subclass G, which mainly talks about freedom to carry out occupation, trade, and as well as business. Actually this right which is mainly violated. But is this absolute right? No, it is not at all absolute. There can be some reasonable restrictions can be imposed, right? So imposed based on the interest of public, okay, based on interest of general public, and in a particular related to specifying any professional or technical qualifications, or to reserve a sector for government monopoly. Okay, so this article which is also having some reasonable restrictions, so based on the interest of general public, right? So particularly, so if so and so job, for example, I will be giving you some examples of to understand this reasonable restrictions. For example, if I establish an IT company in so and so state, for example in my state I went for establishing of IT company. So for this IT company, the persons who want to work in this, they need some special qualifications. For example, if I came up with a technology company like a computer related thing or software related things, so if any doctor person can come and do this software job? No, right? So we need some special qualifications, and we need some technical qualifications. For example, if there is a need of doing any surgery, for example transplant of liver, so either any software person can come and do this surgery? No, right? So we need technical qualifications, we need proper skills, and we need professionals, especially from some sectors. Okay, so this is the one reasonable restrictions. So by this you can understand this. And this act which mainly says that private businesses to reserve 75% of lower end job for locals. Okay, and what happened, it mainly violates this right to carry out any occupation. So this is the first important question. And second constitutional question which is mainly posed here is, the provision of reservation by the virtue of domicile or residence may be unconstitutional. So whenever we are talking about reservation based on the domicile means nothing but the place you are residing from last 6 months. And next one is place of residence, that is where you are living and where you are born. So based on this domicile and as well as a place of residence, whenever you are talking about to provide to provide reservation, it is unconstitutional. So this is second important question. So next one is, if you're talking about Article 16 of our Indian Constitution, it is again fundamental right. So this Article 16, which mainly provides for equality. For equality of what? Equality of opportunity for all citizens in this public employment. But whenever we are talking about 75% of reservation, okay, for this locals means it is mainly violated in this Article 16 of Indian Constitution. Okay, so this Article 16, which mainly prohibits discrimination. Discrimination on which basis? On which grounds? On place of birth and as well as place of residence, sex, etc. So it is mainly prohibiting discrimination. So in this way, this article, it is mainly violated. So this is the second constitutional question. And if you're talking about third question, what is this? So the third question is whether 75% of reservation is permitted or not. So if you're talking about our famous Supreme Court judgment in this Indra Sahani case, in this Indra Sahani case of 1992, Supreme Court mainly capped the reservations in this public service at 50%. And how this law can provide 75% of reservation for locals. So this is the third question. So these are the three questions which are mainly posed by this article. So now let us try to see some basics regarding this. What is this Haryana State Employment of Local Candidates Bill, which mainly talking about? So first one here, it mainly says that 75% of reservation in jobs, okay, up to monthly salary, that is from 30,000 to 50,000. Okay, so this is the first important provision, and this law, which is applicable to all companies, societies, trusts, and even limited liability partnership, that is LLP firms as well. Okay, and any person who is employing 10 or more than 10 persons in an entity, so they will become under this purview of this law. Okay, so these are the some important basic points. And I also added one more infographic. Actually, this infographic which appeared in newspaper, so it is a newspaper cut itself. So if you're talking about this local laws, not only this Haryana state, but even Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Karnataka, and as well as AP, they came up with their respective laws in their states. So if you're talking about Maharashtra, it mainly says that private sector to employ 80% of domiciled workers, okay, and who are more than 15 years. It is saying about 80% of reservation. And Haryana, it is saying about 75% of quota for locals. And next one is, if you're talking about status, it is planned but not implemented. Even in Haryana, it came into force from January 2022, but High Court gave the stay. And if you're talking about Madhya Pradesh, it is also planning for 70% of quota for private sector jobs for locals. Okay, and actually it is in the planning stage itself. And if you're talking about Karnataka, so private industries to give priority for this Kannadigas in clerical and as well as shop floor jobs. Okay, and actually the rules are amended in Karnataka. And next one is Andhra Pradesh. Andhra Pradesh also saying about 75% of quota for the locals in government and as well as private sector. Actually law is passed, but it is not yet implemented in Andhra Pradesh. So these are the different states, they are coming up with their laws regarding reservation. Okay, so this is about this topic, and I hope it is very much clear. And now let us try to see next topic. It is regarding MSP. Title says an MSP scheme to transform Indian agriculture. So this article which is talking about MSP. So first of all, let us try to talk about some basics regarding this MSP. So MSP mainly stands for minimum support price. So what is this minimum support price? How it is benefiting the farmers? So if you're talking about this MSP, that is minimum support price, it is a price at which government, mainly procure food grains from farmer. Okay, if you're talking about this minimum support price, you will be also coming across this FRP, fair remunerative price. So this FRP, it is in the case of sugarcane. So it is not the price which is given by the government, but this FRP, it is a price which is mainly paid by sugarcane mills for this farmers. Okay, so this is the difference between this FRP and MSP. Please don't confuse with these two words. FRP, it is for sugarcane, and MSP, it is for other crops. So if you're talking about this MSP, it is like a procurement price that will be paid by government for this food grains that will be purchased from these farmers. So it will be announced by the government before sowing of that so and so crop. So that based on this MSP here, farmers they can decide that whether they can go for sowing of that so and so crop or not. So why? Based on MSP, why farmers will be going for deciding whether they have to go for this crop or not? Because whenever the farmers who are having their produce and whenever they are taking their produce to the markets, sometimes what happen, there will be some decreasing of price, or whenever there is increase in the produce, whenever the large amount of food grains that is going into the market, means there is decrease in the demand, and finally that will affect the farmers income will be affected. So whenever the government is providing this minimum support price, means so this is a assured price that farmers whenever they are taking this produce to the markets, then they will be getting this price, right? Directly FCI, Food Corporation of India, which is going to purchase this food grains. So what this Food Corporation of India which will do after purchasing this food grains from the farmers? So actually you know that in India we have this public distribution system. So under this public distribution system, so subsidized food grains will be given to this BPL families or poor families who will be having this ration cards through this fair price shops. So for this government needs food grains, so that food grains directly purchased from the farmer. So in this way FCI will be getting food grains and farmers they will be getting assured income, right? So in this way this will be the win-win situation for both government and as well as for farmers. So now we are going to talk about what are the issues that we are facing in this MSP. So already in yesterday's budget lecture also we discussed about this in detail. So if you have not watched this budget session that we uploaded by 8 o'clock yesterday, so please watch that. That is exclusively beneficial, and if you watch that video then you will be getting some interest in economy for sure. I will be assuring that you will be getting economy, especially many students they will be having some problem regarding economy, right? Some people they will be not showing much interest and some students they will be not understanding the concept, but if you see that analysis for sure, I will assure you that you are going to get interest in this economy for sure, and you will be overcoming the understanding of economical related terms. Okay, I explained very detailedly, and it will be like an interesting manner also, so please try to watch that video. So the link is also given in description box. You can go to that video by clicking on the link which is given in description box as well. So now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. So author in introduction he mainly says that so now farmers they are facing some ongoing struggle. So this struggle it is not for political power, this struggle it is for ensuring of MSP from the government. Okay, so it is a struggle to transform Indian agriculture and the livelihood of farming majority which are in ruins in most parts of the country. Okay, so now here across the country we are seeing the struggles, and even because of imposition of recent laws by this central government also. So we saw across the country there was protests that mainly seen, and these farmers are not struggling for political power at all, but they are mainly struggling for the transformation of Indian agriculture and even livelihoods of the people who are mainly involved in this farming sector. So if you're talking about what is this, okay, so if you're talking about this protest, so they are mainly going for this peaceful protest. Okay, so farmers are going for this peaceful protest, and this is one of the important movement to generate momentum in small piece in agriculture, which in turn could give a real content to our democracy. Okay, so whenever we are mainly transforming this Indian agriculture means, so it will be helpful for real content of our democracy. So why? Because more than 50 to 60% of economy of our country which is mainly depend upon this agriculture. So because of this India's economy which is mainly called as primary economy, and it is also called as agrarian economy because most of our economy which is mainly depend upon this agriculture. So even during this COVID-19 period, so because of abrupt imposition of this national-wide lockdown, the only sector which mainly sustained and which mainly showed some positive growth here is agriculture with 3.7%. And if you're talking about manufacturing sector and service sector, they hit the most. But agriculture sector which mainly survived, and this agriculture sector which mainly provided some food security in our country as well. Right? So because of this, we need to design a minimum support price. So if we're talking about background and some facts regarding this MSP, as I explained in the introduction itself. So MSP is a rate at which government purchases or procures food grains from the farmer. Okay, so whenever government it is mainly procuring food grains from farmer at which price, so that price is called as MSP. So if you are talking about how government is going to calculate this MSP, so MSP will be like 1.5 times of cost of production which mainly incurred by the farmers. But you have to know about this MS Swaminathan committee recommendations regarding this MSP. Okay, A2 plus FL plus C2. Okay, so this is the formula which is given by this Swaminathan committee. So actually now, as of now, here this MSP will be calculated based on the agricultural cost which mainly incurred, and as well as it is mainly including some other cost of like family labor. But MS Swaminathan committee which mainly said that it mainly includes cost of production, okay, cost of production, that is input cost, plus family labor, plus even whatever the interest that is mainly paid by the farmer. So this should be included. So this is the MS Swaminathan committee recommendations. You need to know about that. So in short, what is this MSP? MSP, it is a minimum price. MSP, it is a minimum price for any crop that the government consider as a remunerative for farmers. Hence, it is deserving of support. Okay, it is like a support which is given to the farmers. And if you are talking about MSP, MSP it is mainly based on three important principles. So what are those principles? The first one, it is mainly focusing on price stabilization. Second one is import support for the farmers, and also it is mainly focusing on mechanism for coping with indebtedness of farmers. So actually, if you know about this farmers, for the input there will be the high cost. Okay, so whatever the cost of inputs will be very high, because farmers, they need to go for tilling of land, they can use some tractors. So most of the agriculture in India, it is small and marginal agriculture, so they do not have tractors, so they have to bring the tractors for rent, and they have to go for tilling of land. After tilling of land, they need to go for sowing. So for sowing, they need to get the seeds. Okay, they need to get good quality of seeds, and they will be getting that seeds from the market. So they have to give the money for that, and after that they need to go for labor. Okay, labor will be there, and they have to go for removing of weeds like that. Okay, so in this way, whenever farmers they want to go for sowing, means they will be having or incurred some cost, that is called as input cost. So already you know that most of the farmers in India, they are small and marginal farmers. 86% of farmers will be like small and marginal farmers. So they do not have proper money to go for inputs. So, and even if they want to go for banks, okay, banks for credit, then means it will be like a long process, and they need the paper. Okay, and most of these farmers do not have a proper knowledge regarding how they can go for the credit from the banks. So they will be go for mainly money lenders. So these money lenders in the villages especially, they will be giving the money or lending money on a higher rate of interest. So because of this, what happened, that will lead to indebtedness. Okay, indebtedness of farmers. So mainly the important objectives or principles of this MSP here is, the first one is price stabilization in the market. Okay, especially for example, let us take if there is any village, and in this village there is a one market is there. So whatever the produce that is mainly got from this village, the farmers will be taken to this market. For example, let us take in this year, for example in 2020, there was like drought conditions, and there was like unseasonal rainfall. So because of this, the produce here is just 100 bags of paddy. So in this total village, farmers, they produce just 100 bags of paddy, and this 100 bags of paddy which is taken to the market. So because of this low produce, what happened, the cost of this paddy which mainly increased. For example, let us take 10,000 rupees per a bag. So this is a hypothetical example, and don't ask me questions like how one bag of paddy is like 10,000 rupees. So just it is a hypothetical example. I want to explain you the concept. And if you see in 2021, for example, we got good rainfall, good monsoon. So because of this, instead of 100 bags, they came up with 500 bags of paddy, and this 500 bags of paddy is taken to the market. So now there is increasing of produce. So because of this, the amount of paddy that mainly entered into that market had been increased. So because of this, the demand will be decreased, and earlier year it was like 10,000 rupees per bag, and now it is like 5,000 rupees per bag. Okay, so in this way, here what happened, because on the demand and supply in the market, so price fluctuations that will be seen. So not only this, even I saw the example of groundnut now. So in our farm, we went for this groundnut. Actually, the groundnut, whenever it is entering into the market in the first stage, it was like 8,000 rupees per quintal. Okay, but actually what happened, by the time our harvest that came into our hands, and by the time we took the same groundnut into that nearby market, they gave just 6,000 rupees per quintal. So there is a loss of 2,000 rupees. The people who took this groundnut at the first, they got 8,000 rupees per quintal, and after that, whenever there is increasing of this groundnut that is reaching that market, what happened, there is increasing of supply of groundnut in the market. So because of this, there is decreasing of price. Okay, so what happens, some farmers will be benefited and some farmers will be got loss, right? So mainly for the price stabilization in the market, this MSP is very useful. So even though if you are taking that so-and-so produce at the earlier or at the late, you will be getting that same MSP. So because of this, we can maintain the price stabilization in the market. And next one is, it will be also giving some income support, and farmers, they will be going for sowing of this so-and-so crop which is getting MSP. Right, so because of this, they will be also having assurance that yes, MSP will be paid by the government, so we will be having so and so income, so there is no need of worrying about this. And next one is, it will be also helpful for mainly decreasing the indebtedness of farmers as well. Okay, so this is about principles. And if you see in detail, so the price stabilization policy for food grains in India is mainly evolved over time. So actually we came up with this Essential Commodities Act in 1995, and we came up with this act which is mainly to counter the price rise. Okay, to counter the price rise due to speculative private trading and even MSP in 1960s. Okay, and government also came up with this buffer stock policy with the public storage of food grains for market intervention. Okay, and later on, after procuring the food grains, also government came up with this public storage of food, because they need to maintain some buffer stock, right? For example, this year we got good rainfall, good monsoon, so because of this, production is high. So we can't expect what will be happening the next year or the next year, right? So here next year might be El Nino. So because of this El Nino, Indian monsoon rainfall will be affected, and most of our agriculture is rain-fed agriculture, that is more than 60% of agriculture is rain-fed. So whenever there is no proper rainfall or unseasonal rainfall or droughts, means that will be affecting the food production last. So we need to maintain some buffer stock. Okay, so government came up with this public storage of food grains for market intervention, and it also involves some different kinds of mechanisms. For example, setting of cost-based minimum procurement price, and even the paying or the difference between the procurement price and market price, and even storing the procured surplus of sale, and even it also came with the stabilizing of price in the market. Okay, so these are the some important things. And if you're talking about farmers, okay, especially during 1960s, we came up with this green revolution. So after we came up with this green revolution, mainly the farmers, they went for the shifting towards high yield variety cropping pattern. So because of this green revolution, I can say that, so that led to increasing of our food productivity, and finally that mainly ensured our food security in the country. Okay, so before this green revolution, one incident I was very much aware, it is like ship to mouth. Actually we got grade 3 food grains from America, because at that time we do not have proper food grains, so we have grade 3 food grains which are mainly we got from America, and from the ship itself, from the ship, that is mainly ship which mainly stopped in this port. So from the ship, directly the grains went into the mouth, or the people, they took their food grains. So this is the one incident. After this only we came up with this green revolution. So that green revolution, that led to increasing of food production, and finally we made our country self-sufficient regarding this food grains, and as well as food security for our citizens. And next one is, so this task, whenever we came up with this green revolution, there is increasing of food productivity. So then we came with the task of interlinking of procurement, storage, distribution, and more centralized investment, and as well as control of these tasks. Okay, so before we did not have proper food, right? So after this green revolution only, we came up with this food productivity that increased, and later on we went for this storage, everything, right? So if you're talking about what are the issues regarding this MSP, So if you are talking about this MSP, so MSP it is only given to only some crops but not all. So because of this we can say this, there is a partial coverage of this MSP. There is not full coverage, there is a partial coverage of this MSP. It is given for example I can say like rice, wheat and sugar, etc. So these are the items which are mainly procured by the FCI and that will be provided for this PDS system, that is a public distribution system. But this MSP which also left like some more 20 crops now under discussion for this MSP. For example, millets, coarse cereals, pulses and as well as oil seeds. So these millets, it is very important, and even this year budget which mainly talks about this millets. Okay, and these millets are very much helpful for this micronutrients. Okay, so these micronutrients are very important for the proper functioning of our organs, tissue, cells. So this is the one thing that we are missing. Okay, so if you are talking about our area of cultivation, okay, the area of cultivation of rice and as well as wheat from the green revolution which mainly increased. So if you are talking about rice, it increased from 30 to 44 million hectares of area under cultivation, and if you are talking about wheat, it mainly increased from 31 to 37 million hectares. Okay, so what happened, why there is increasing? Because these rice and the wheat, they are mainly procured by the FCI, and also regarding this rice and wheat, there is open procurement policy. So what is this open procurement policy? Means whatever the amount of this wheat and as well as rice which is mainly brought up by the farmers, that will be purchased by the government, because that will be directly used in this public distribution system. But this open procurement policy is not present for the other crops, like for example pulses, oil seeds, etc. here. Okay, so this is the one important reason. And if you are talking about one more important issue here is, most of our Indian agriculture which is mainly rain fed, that is mainly based on rainfall. There is no proper irrigation facility, right? So about 68% of our Indian agriculture which is mainly based on rainfall. So if this rainfall which is mainly affecting, so if there is La Nina, means we will be having a good rainfall, and if you are talking about El Nino, we are having a bad rainfall and there will be the rainfall deficit that is seen, right? And most of the regions are drought resistant, and in these areas also, because of this MSP, here farmers are mainly going for water intensive crops like for example rice and as well as sugarcane. So if there is any drought, means what happens, that will be leads to crop failure. But people, they are mainly going for this water intensive crops only. So even though these are the areas which are mainly depend upon the rainfall, they are not going for this water less intensive crops like millets. So if government is providing MSP for these crops also, means so it will be incentivizing farmers especially to go for this less water intensive crops in this rain fed regions, okay, without proper irrigation facilities. Okay, so this is about this topic, and now let us try to see issues in detail. So first one is, there is limited extent. As against the official announcement of MSP for 23 crops, only two crops, that is for example rice and as well as wheat, they are mainly procured. Okay, so this is one important problem. And next one is, this MSP is ineffectively implemented. So even recent Shanta Kumar committee report of 2015, which mainly said that only 6% of MSP could be received by the farmers. That means 94% of the farmers in the country, they are mainly deprived of this benefit of MSP. So this is also second issue. And next one is, there is a more of a procurement price. So if we are talking about this current MSP regime, which has no relation regarding the price in the market. In the domestic market, prices are very much high than compared to that of MSP. So this is also one important issue. And next one is, it makes agriculture, wheat and as well as paddy dominated. So because MSP which is ensured for this rice and paddy, so because of this, most of the farmers, they are going for this growing of this wheat and as well as paddy rather than other things. And next one is, so whenever any farmer who is taking his produce to the market, so it is mainly depend upon this middleman. Okay, so our agriculture is mainly depend upon this middleman, and he is getting some commissions, etc., such that there is decreasing of income of farmers. So these are some important issues regarding this MSP. And now let us try to talk about what is a way forward. So first one is, we need to understand the true spirit. So we need to go for price stability in the market. So whatever the MSP which is mainly decided by the government, that should mainly focus on this price stability, and it need to ensure proper income for the farmers. It should be not less than domestic price of so and so product in the market. And next one is we need to extend the scope of MSP. MSP can be also increased to other crops like cereals, pulses, edible oils, such that here farmers they will be go for this crop diversification. And next one is incentivizing more in agri-allied sector as well. Okay, so here government need to invest even in animal husbandry and as well as fisheries, fruits, etc., such that it will be incentivizing private sector also to build some efficient value chain as well. And next one is we need to go for changing of price fix. Okay, so here we need to come up with a proper agriculture policy. Okay, so and we need to come up with the new trend regarding this MSP. So this is about this topic, and I hope it is very useful and you understand this concept much better. And now let us try to see next topic. It is regarding RBI's monetary policy. Now RBI said that it is going to keep this benchmark repo rate which is unchanged, that is 4%. Okay, so here you need to know about what is this repo rate first of all. So before seeing this repo rate, first let us try to understand what is this accommodative policy. Already I explained you in introduction, right? So it is nothing but expansions to monetary policy. So in this policy here RBI want to increase money supply in the market. So whenever it want to increase the money supply, it will be decreasing the interest rates. So how this money supply which is linked with this interest rate? For example, if you see here we have RBI, here we have RBI and here we have any bank. So whenever banks are going to RBI and they are getting money from the RBI. So on this money here banks they need to pay interest rate. Okay, so whenever interest rate which is low means the banks will be going for the RBI and they will be getting more money. So whenever banks are having the more money, they will have the capability to give more number of loans. So whenever the loans are given, for example, if I went to the bank and I am getting the loan means, so I will be having money in my hands. Then with that money I will be going to market and I will be demanding for the more goods and sarees. For example, gold, for example, sarees that are my favorite. Okay, such that what happened, that will be leads to increase in the demand in the market. Finally, the factories or industries which are producing that, they will be giving some boost and they will be going for more production, and finally that will leads for economic activity or the revival of our economy. So this is a cycle that you need to remember. And now let us try to see about this topic in a very great detail. So if you are talking about this monetary policy committee decision to leave interest rate, okay, now here RBI monetary policy said that they are going for unchanging of this interest rates. Okay, for example 4% of repo rate, and they said that they are going to continue this accommodative policy. So if you're talking about our economy and if you're talking about global economy, that is economy of all the countries in the world, they mainly suffered much losses due to this COVID-19 pandemic. And now because of this Omicron also several countries they went for again lockdown, and there were number of cases which mainly increased. Even in India there are number of states they went for the restriction of movement of people and they imposed night curfews like that because of fear of this third wave of this coronavirus due to this Omicron variant. Okay, now if you're talking about at present economy of India, there is a slowdown of economy that is seen. And even if you're talking about private consumption, that is the consumption of people, for example food, clothing, for anything, so what happened, there is decreasing of consumption. So decrease it is like 3.6% when we are comparing with that of pre-pandemic level. So this is the thing which is mainly said in budget itself, right? And if you are talking about some more important problems that we are facing or challenges that we are facing is there is increasing of international commodity prices. So in international market commodity prices had been increased, and there is we can see like volatility that is seen in the markets. Okay, there might be increasing of crude oil prices. Okay, we don't know that whether there will be increasing or decreasing of this crude oil for next 6 months. And even whatever the growth estimates of RBI which mainly came up, that mainly said that it was like 7.8% for this financial year 2022 to 2023. But economic service projected that it will be like 8 to 8.5%. That is, now this RBI projection is less than compared to that of this economic survey as well. So even in our market we are seeing there is inflation. So if we are talking about inflation, we will be having this wholesale price index and as well as consumer price index. So recent this consumer price index of January which mainly said that inflation that is seen in the market here is 5.7%. But inflation target here is RBI need to maintain within 4 plus or minus 2%. It is like 2 to 6%. It should be maintained between this 2 to 6%, and it is like 5.7%. And recently what happened, what are the reasons for decreasing of inflation? Because of softening of vegetable price in the market. Earlier tomato price used to be like 120 rupees, now it is like 15 to 20 rupees kg. And even there is increasing of food grain production, and because of this reason there is like a decreasing of inflation that is mainly seen in market. So if you're talking about recent times, even US Federal Bank, which also said that they are going for this tightening of monetary policy, but India said that again we are going for accommodative monetary policy. So because of this we need to also focus on price stability in the market, inflation in the market, and we need to go for adjusting of our monetary policy according to that. So this is the gist of this topic, and I hope it is very much clear. And now let us try to see next topic. It is regarding court asked Mallya to appear on February 24 in this contempt case. So here you need to know about contempt of court. Okay, so because of this I selected this article. So this contempt of court, it is very important topic from your prelims, and it is important from your GS paper to under polity point of view. So if you are talking about context, why it is in news. So the Supreme Court wondered that it can punish this fugitive businessman, that is Vijay Mallya. Okay, he mainly found guilty of contempt. Okay, and in absent, whether if he absent on this February 24th also. So here court says that whether it should appoint an amicus curiae for him or not. So here you need to know about this concept, what is amicus curiae and what is this contempt of court. So if you are focusing on this amicus curiae, it is nothing but a friend of the court. Okay, amicus curiae is also called as a friend of the court. So in this amicus curiae, the lawyers are appointed by the courts to present diverse views and assist the court in special cases. Okay, amicus curiae, they are nothing but the lawyers who are mainly appointed by the court to present the diverse views and even to assist the court in specific cases. So this amicus curiae, it is mainly appointed to help the court regarding compiling of facts, research, and as well as the laws in the question, or even offer some non-partisan opinion. So in these cases, the amicus curiae, who is a friend of the court or the lawyer, will be appointed by the court itself. And if you are talking about contempt of court, so what is the concept of this contempt? Here we need to know about what is this contempt of court, how this contempt of court which mainly origin, and you need to know about types of contempt. So in types of contempt we have civil contempt and as well as criminal contempt. So if you are talking about this contempt of court, so this contempt, it is a concept that mainly seeks to protect judicial institutions. Okay, it is mainly protecting our judicial institutions from motivated attacks and as well as some unwanted criticism. So from motivated attacks and as well as some unwanted criticism, and we will be having a legal mechanism to punish those who lower its authority. So whenever any person who is trying to lower the authority of court and mainly to protect these judicial institutions, so we have a concept called as contempt of court. So this mainly follows the institution of contempt proceedings by the Supreme Court of India on its own motion. Okay, it is mainly regarding whenever there is a judicial institutions, they need to protect it, so they can invoke this contempt of court. So we are talking about origin of this concept of contempt of court. So this contempt, it is mainly like a several centuries old. For example, in England, it is a common law principle. So this principle which mainly seeks to protect judicial power of the king. Okay, so this power, it is to protect mainly the judicial power of king. Initially, he mainly exercised by himself, and later on the panel of judges also acted in his name. And if we are talking about any violation of judges' orders, it was mainly considered as an affront to king itself. So whenever the orders of judges mainly violated, means it is against the king itself, and that person will be punishable. So this is the concept of this contempt of court which mainly evolved. And if you are talking about which are the statutory bases, so here whenever we came up with our adoption of our Indian constitution, contempt of court was also made one of the restrictions of freedom of speech and expression. And later on we came up with this article 129 of Indian constitution, which mainly talks about contempt of court power for Supreme Court. And next one is article 215 of Indian constitution, which is mainly talking about high court power of contempt of court. And we also had one law, that is Contempt of Court Act of 1971, which mainly gives some statutory backing to the idea of this contempt of court. So if you're talking about types, we have two types, civil contempt and as well as criminal contempt. If you're talking about civil contempt, it is like someone who mainly willfully disobeys the orders of a court, okay, and whenever the persons who are mainly breaching or undertaking anything which is given by the court, that is called as civil contempt. So for example, I can give you one instance. For example, if I am living in a home, that home I am giving rent from past 5 years or from past years I didn't pay the rent. So that person, that owner of that house who mainly filed the case in the court, and the court said that I have to pay the money, but I didn't pay the money. So this, it mainly comes under this civil contempt. And if we are talking about criminal contempt, it is like any words which I spoken or any signs and whatever the actions that are that I'm doing, so which mainly scandalous, that means which mainly lowers the power of authority of law, that will come under this criminal contempt. And whenever I am interfering in this judicial proceedings, that will come under criminal contempt. And whenever I am interfering and I am obstructing the administration of justice, which also comes under this criminal contempt. So these are like criminal contempt and as well as civil contempt, and I hope you understand this contempt of court. And now let us try to talk about next topic. It is regarding Indo-Pacific region. Indo-Pacific region will shape the century, says Blinken. So this article, it is very important from international relations, which mainly comes under GS paper 2. So here you have to open your atlas and you have to see where this Indo-Pacific region is located. So if we're talking about context, it mainly says that the United States remain focused long term on Indo-Pacific region despite concerns over Russian aggression towards Ukraine. US Secretary mainly said. US Secretary mainly said that here US mainly remain to focus on this Indo-Pacific region. So although there are number of issues which are mainly happening, like Russian aggressiveness that is seen across this Russian-Ukraine border. So even though there are some aggressions which are happening, so US mainly focused to remain with this Indo-Pacific region. So this is a statement which is given by US Secretary. Okay. So now let us try to see some details. So here in this context, US Secretary, he is at present in Australian city, that is Melbourne, and he is mainly having a meeting today regarding this Quad countries. So which are the countries which mainly comes under the part of this Quad? So Quad mainly says that the meaning here is 4. So countries like US, Japan, Australia and India. So these are the 4 countries which are form of this Quad. Actually these 4 nations mainly formed the Quad, and it is a block of Indo-Pacific democracies, and it mainly created to counter this Chinese influence in this Indo-Pacific region. And if you are talking about some important facts regarding this Indo-Pacific region, so Indo-Pacific region, it is one of the fast growing region in the world, and this Indo-Pacific region which mainly accounting for like 2/3 of global economic growth, okay, 2/3 of global economic growth over the past 5 years. And we can see this Indo-Pacific region which is home for half of world's population as well. Okay, and if you're talking about some important challenges which are mainly faced by this Indo-Pacific region, here is the first one is climate change. So because of this climate change, many islands which are present in this region, they are mainly vulnerable, and even COVID-19 also one important challenge are mainly faced by these countries. Okay, so mainly to address these challenges, here the secretary mainly says that we need alliances, we need coalitions, okay, and we need to put our efforts in resources and their minds, and finally we need to tackle this problems. So this is the one important thing which mainly said. And if you are talking about this map, so this here we have Indian Ocean, and here we have Pacific Ocean. So this region which mainly comes into this Indo-Pacific region. So now let us try to talk about what is this Indo-Pacific region and why it is important. So why there is increasing of relevance regarding this Indo-Pacific region, and why there is a shifting of power from this west towards east is happening. So this is very, very important. So if we are talking about Indo-Pacific region, so this idea of this Indo-Pacific region, which is one of the single strategic space, it is a outgrowth of Chinese growing influence. So because of this Chinese growing influence in this Indo-Pacific region, for example, it is having some territorial disputes and as well as maritime disputes with a number of countries, and there is increasing of ports of this China, and even Chinese which is coming up with a number of infrastructure projects in this region, and even it is going for development of port. Okay, and we can also talk about a string of pearls concept of this China. So it mainly signifies that interconnectedness of Indian Ocean with the Pacific Ocean. So here we are having the number of issues which are mainly posed by increasing of Chinese dominance regarding security, commerce, etc. here. So in this region we will be having a Strait of Malacca. It is one of the important choke point and it mainly controls 1/3 of the trade here. Okay. So here because of this there is increasing of Chinese dominance. So because of this Chinese dominance, there is increasing the relevance of this Indo-Pacific region, that is mainly seen. And if you are talking about what is the importance of this Indo-Pacific region, so it is very much helpful for maintaining of regional stability. So for regional stability, so this region is very important, and we can have some strong ties with the US. Okay, strong ties with the US as seen as it is one of the vital tool for enhancing India's strategic posture. And even it will be having a long-term vision regarding national interest as well. And there is also increasing of Chinese active presence in this Indian Ocean region. So it is a sum of a cause of concern for trade and as well as security, commerce issues. And we need to adhere for freedom of navigation, and we need to follow rules-based international order. Okay, and we need to provide some stable trade environment in this region. Okay, and we need to focus on connectivity and as well as international rules, norms, etc. So because of this there is increasing the relevance for this Indo-Pacific region, that is mainly seen. And now let us try to see next topic. It is regarding RBI extends liquidity window for healthcare. So it is regarding RBI's liquidity window for healthcare. So recently in 2021 RBI came up with this liquidity window for this mutual funds, and now it is talking about this healthcare. So this is some background, it is a basic background. So this article, it is very much important from our economy point of view, which mainly comes under GS paper 3. So now let us try to see the context why this is in news. So now recently RBI, which mainly proposed to extend this liquidity facility of rupees 50,000 crore, it is like 50,000 crore which mainly offered for health services by 3 months, that is for the next 90 days. So there is a availability of this liquidity facility for this healthcare services. So RBI, which mainly announced this on tap liquidity window, so it is like a liquidity window of rupees 50,000 crore and at a repo rate with the tenors up to 3 years. Okay, so RBI, it is mainly providing this 50,000 crore rupees for this healthcare sector, and this healthcare sector they can go for this RBI and they can get the loans, and it is mainly based on the repo rate, and this will be for the 3 years. Okay, within 90 days they can go and get the loan, and the time period it is for 3 years. So in this way, whenever this healthcare facilities they are mainly getting this type of liquidity window, means that will be helpful for boosting of provision for immediate liquidity, and even that will be helpful for fighting of this COVID-19 related healthcare infrastructure services in the country as well. So in this way, the banks, they were incentivized for quick delivery of credit as well. Okay, and if you're talking about some facts regarding this scheme, that is liquid facility scheme, it will be like a 2-week window. So in this window, RBI will lend the money to the banks at a repo rate for 90 days. For 90 days, that is 3 months, RBI will be lending money at a repo rate here. So this funds that can be used for only for the meeting of the liquidity needs of so and so institution. So this is about this topic, and these are the some important articles which appear in today's newspaper. And now let us try to see the explanation part for the yesterday's question. So first question is regarding ordinance. So ordinance making power of president. So first of all, you need to know article 213 of Indian Constitution, which mainly talks about this ordinance making power of president. So first one is whether when either of the two houses of parliament is not in session. Yes, whenever houses they are not in the session, here president has the power mainly to pass the laws through this ordinance. Yes, first statement is correct. And next one is when both houses are in session. So when both houses in the session, how can the president will promulgate ordinance? It is wrong. And next one is when only one house in session. Yes, actually whenever any bills that that need to become act means that need to be passed in the Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, and also president need to give assent. So whenever one house it is not in session means it will be not passing in the two houses. So here this is also correct. And next one is whether both the house of parliament they are not in session. Yes, this is absolutely correct. So here question answer it cannot means that correct answer here is 2. And next question is regarding Indian Constitution. So now let us try to see the statements. So both elected and nominated members of parliament vote in this vice president election. Yes, this statement is absolutely correct. And this one is a nominated member can also be appointed as a union minister. Yes, okay, but he need to become a member within this 6 months. And next one is elected members of state legislative assembly vote in presidential elections, but these state legislative assembly members they can be vote in this president elections but not in vice president. And this one is cabinet minister comprises of sitting members of Lok Sabha only, not only Lok Sabha but even Rajya Sabha. So this 4 statement is also incorrect. So here you need to select the correct answer. So correct answer will be 1 and 2, that is option 1 only. So here now let us try to see the today's questions. So before seeing this today's questions, I want to make a small announcement on this platform. If you want to clear this UPSC, so I will be strongly suggesting you to join this prelims test series and as well as mains answer writing, okay, that we launched in this Rathod's IAS, and actually the batch of this February had been closed. Registration for this February batch been closed, and the March batch registrations will be opened in the last week of this February. So please try to join that course. That will be absolutely useful. And if you're following our current affairs, then you might be understanding how much clarity that we are providing and how much content we are providing, and you are not compromising on content. So for making this video, I am getting up at sharply 4 o'clock in the morning. So, and we are uploading this video by 9 to 9:30. Okay, so you can see our consistency, and I don't know why we are not getting the views, but in the YouTube channels there are many channels which are mainly providing this Hindu analysis, but they are not much apt. Okay, and one more thing here is whatever the courses that we are launching, so we are mainly focusing on the quality of education. We are not compromising on the quality. Okay, so if you have not been watched yesterday's budget lecture also, please try to watch that. That is absolutely useful, and you will be appreciating about economy after listening to that lecture for sure. And try to solve these questions. So these are the questions for today practice, that is regarding zonal council. And next one is article 266, which is about the public account committee, public account of India. Okay, so here these are the 2 questions, and try to answer these questions and give your answers in the comment box. Don't forget about this. So by this I am concluding today. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Please subscribe to Rathod's IAS, and don't forget to like, share and comment my videos. And try to join these courses, and the courses will be there in the website of Rathod's IAS Academy. There you can watch 3 demo videos as well. And if you want to download the app of this Rathod's IAS, link is given in description box. And if you want to get this PDF, you can join the Telegram channel, and the link is also given in description. So by this I am concluding. Thank you so much.